Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Sunday afternoon baseball presentation brought to you by the Epic Sports Broadcasting Network. We will be bringing you games from the 1991 Cincinnati Reds season, which I have been running as part of the Historical Baseball Project. I'm going to take a moment or two here to put out the links to the game for folks who might want to join in from Discord or elsewhere. And then we will roll some baseball. So we'll get started in just a minute or two. All right, so the link has been posted, and we'll see who wants to jump in this afternoon and watch some baseball together. Before we start the games, we will take a look at the standings. 1991 was not a stellar year for the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds finished the season 74 and 88 for a 457 clip. And so far in this replay, they are behind that pace, coming in fifth place currently in the Western Division of the National League with a record of 14 wins and 21 losses. Our first game today will be against the San Diego Padres. It is game 3 of the 3-game series. And the Reds and Padres have split the first 2 games of the series. Then the Padres will head out, and the first place San Francisco Giants will come to town for the second game of today's doubleheader. Sports Time Machine is in the chat room. Hello, Mike, and welcome to this afternoon's games. I think I have the settings the way I like it. I played with it a little bit this week, but we will see how things go. I've decided to get rid of the dice rolling on screen since I do not have the card image viewer. It seems kind of pointless to wait for the dice to roll to refer to no card image, but I will have the dice rolls on screen as part of the play-by-play text so that we can track what would be happening if we were in a card and dice situation. Probably the next time I buy a season, I'll go ahead and spring for the card image viewer so that we can do that, but for now we'll do without. So we'll get started with the Reds and Padres, followed by the Reds and Giants, 2-game series. Hopefully this will take about an hour this afternoon because I know Ron Juckett's going to broadcast some football later on today, and everybody is buzzing about Game of Thrones. So I thought I'd take a little time this afternoon to do some broadcasting of some games that need to be played anyhow. So we are at May the 19th. Tonight's pitching lineup will be Bruce Hurst for the Padres and the Texans Scott Scudder for Cincinnati. Here are your starting lineups. For the Padres, it will be Tony Fernandez, the shortstop, leading off, and Bip Roberts, the second baseman, batting second. Very slick middle infield combo. 2 speedsters at the top of the lineup, followed by the slugger Fred McGriff, batting third. Darren Jackson will be your center fielder, batting fourth. Benito Santiago, the strong-armed catcher, bats fifth. Tony Gwynn will bat sixth and play right field. Gerald Clark, the left fielder, batting seventh. Jack Howell is at third base, batting eighth. And the left-hander Bruce Hurst, batting ninth and pitching for the Padres. The Reds will have their Lefty bashing lineup with Mariano Duncan leading off, Chris Sabo second, and Larkin batting third at second base, third base, and shortstop, respectively. And all three of those guys battered left-handed pitching. Glenn Braggs, the big-armed left fielder, will be your cleanup hitter today. Joe Oliver will catch, and Hal Morris drops down to bat sixth against the lefty Bruce Hurst. Billy Hatcher batting seventh in center field, batting eighth in right field, Paul O'Neill, who early in his career struggled against left-handed pitching, and Scott Scudder batting ninth and playing and pitching. Question from Mike, what is Gwynn's balance, lefty-righty? We'll see that as soon as we get to the game screen. Here's the results from the previous two games of the series. San Diego won a nail-biter on Friday night with Melendez defeating Chris Hammond. Hammond was very strong for the first 4+ innings, got into trouble in the fifth, lost the lead, and lost the game. Randy Myers was masterful in his starting role in Saturday's game. Myers nearly went the distance before he struggled in the ninth and had to turn things over to Rob Dibble as the Reds picked up a 1-run win over Andy Bennis. And tonight, it will be Bruce Hurst and Scott Scudder in the series finale. Barry Larkin has been on fire in recent games. .394 over his last 10 games with 3 home runs. Chris Sabo .412 over the last 4 games and over the last 10 games. And Hal Morris at .389 over the last 10 games. So putting up offensive numbers is not the problem for the Reds in 1991. The problem is the pitching, which has been less than stellar. Rijo is strong. Myers is strong. Browning is average. Everybody else beyond that has struggled this season. The weather today is good. Singles will drop in on split rolls of 1 to 11. And it will be a good day for the sluggers as the home runs are 18 both ways. And now we are ready to go to the ballpark for today's opening pitch as Scott Scudder delivers to Tony Fernandez. And the first batter, Fernandez, flies one out to right. O'Neill settles under it and racing hard, he dives and he's got it. Beautiful play by Paul O'Neill for the first out of the ball game. Bip Roberts comes to the plate. Roberts batting .257 so far this season. Scudder delivers, and it's another fly ball out to O'Neill in right. He's coming in hard, and neither one of them is going to get it. O'Neill came in, it dropped in front of him, and Bip Roberts is on with the excuse me single. Roberts a threat to steal as the slugger Fred McGriff comes to the plate. Is Roberts going to look to go? He takes a 3-step lead. Scudder zips a quick throw to first. Roberts barely gets back. That was very close, and Roberts is going to stick closer to the bag as the pitch comes into McGriff. McGriff hits one deep to left field. Not a good curveball. McGriff turns that one around in a big way and jacks that one out of the yard. Opposite field home run for Fred McGriff, his 4th of the season, 16 RBIs. And as I mentioned, it would be a good day for the sluggers today. And McGriff got all of that one. 2-0 San Diego, top of the first inning. And the struggles for the Cincinnati pitching continue. Darren Jackson steps to the plate, and he hits a fly ball to center field. Billy Hatcher settles under it and makes the grab. 2 outs now as Benito Santiago comes to the plate. And Santiago hits one to the left side and through the infield. Actually, Sabo makes the stop and hurls it over to first base to get the 3rd out of the inning. But after 1/2 inning, San Diego 2, and the Reds coming to bat. Let's see what the Reds can do against Bruce Hurst. Hurst had a very solid season in 1991 for San Diego. 222 innings, only 201 hits for an ERA of 3.29 and a 15-win season. Hurst is off to a good start this year, 3-1 with a 3.47 ERA. And the Padres have staked Hurst to a 2-0 lead here as the Reds come to bat with Mariano Duncan to lead things off. Duncan pops one up in the air. Benito Santiago will settle under it and make the grab for the first out. Here comes the hot-hitting Chris Sabo. Sabo hits one to the left side. Routine grounder to Jack Howell, who scoops it up, fires it to first for the second out of the inning. And here comes the three-hole hitter, Barry Larkin. Larkin swings and hits one into the outfield for extra bases, into right center field, and Larkin will be in with a stand-up double. 2 outs now for Larkin on second. And Glenn Braggs comes to the plate in what Strat-O-Matic defines as a clutch situation. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Braggs had some of the biggest pythons you'll ever see in a baseball player. Let's see if he can get hold of one. He hits one to the right side, base hit, and Larkin has the chance to score. He can score on a 90% chance, so he's going to come home. And we're going to hold the trailing runner, and Larkin will score without benefit of a throw. So it's a 2-1 ball game. Braggs holds it first for Joe Oliver. Braggs has a 65% chance to steal, so we're going to take a look at his lead and see if he can't get a steal against a very good catcher in Benito Santiago and a respectable hold from Bruce Hurst. So 65% is about the minimum that I would risk sending a runner. 28% chance to get the lead. We'll attempt the steal. And, oh, bad idea. Braggs got picked off of first base, and that will end the inning. But after one, it's the Padres 2 and the Reds 1 as San Diego returns to bat. Tony Gwynn will lead things off, and he is a left-hand batter with a balance rating of 2R, meaning he hits left-handers slightly better than right-handers. That number will go from 0 to 9 in either direction. So a guy like Darren Jackson, who is rated as an E, hits lefties and righties evenly well, whereas a guy like Jack Howell, who is a 5R, has a much better on-base percentage against the right-handers than the left-hand pitchers. This is not to be confused with the overall on-base percentage or effectiveness of a given hitter. It's simply a relative scale as to how somebody does versus left-hand pitchers versus right-hand pitchers. And yes, indeed, Amish Elvis, Marty and Joe would discuss that boneheaded base running. Indeed, what was that guy thinking? So here's Tony Gwynn to lead things off. And Gwynn hits one to the right side through the infield past Morris. O'Neill hustles over to get that ball before it gets to the wall and holds Gwynn to a single. So good hitting by Gwynn, good fielding by O'Neill, and Gwynn leads off with a base hit to bring Gerald Clark to the plate. Gwynn also has a respectable chance at stealing a base. He extends his lead, and it's a pitch out. Gwynn takes off, and there is an 80% chance of him being safe, 11% chance of Oliver pitching that ball into center field. We'll go ahead and throw for him. And the peg down is safe as Gwynn slides around the tag, give him a stolen base. So Gwynn now at second with nobody out for Gerald Clark. And Clark takes a fastball outside, and he will be at first base on the walk. And Scudder once again has gotten himself into trouble here in the second inning. Already up to 28 pitches on the afternoon out of a possible 102 before the fatigue factor starts to kick in. Let's see what Scudder can do against Jack Howell. Big out for Scudder here if he can get it. Howell hits one out to right field. O'Neill backs up just a bit and pulls it in for the first out of the inning, and the base runners hold. Bruce Hurst now your batter, a 134 batter on the regular season. Hurst may be laying one down, so the Reds are going to play the corners in. As Scudder delivers to Hurst. Hurst indeed lays the bunt down to Morris. Morris picks it up, tosses it to Duncan covering first base for the out. Credit Hurst with the sacrifice, and with 2 outs, Fernandez will be your batter. And Scudder has this opportunity to escape the threat here if he can retire Fernandez with 2 outs. The pitch to Fernandez is hit to the right side and through. Gwynn will score. The second base runner, Gerald Clark, is not a fast runner. So we're going to throw home and see if we can catch the guy at the plate. And Clark is indeed out at home. So another fine defensive play by Paul O'Neill, but the San Diego Padres pick up their 3rd run of the game. And after an inning and a half, it is Padres 3, Reds 1. Joe Oliver will lead things off for the Reds. He was on first base, he was at the plate when Glenn Braggs made that boneheaded play and got himself picked off. Oliver hits one between first and second. Roberts snags it in short right field, throws to the pitcher covering, but Oliver beats the play for an infield single. And he will be the 3rd hit of the ball game for the Reds as Hal Morris comes to the plate to do battle with Bruce Hurst. Morris has a pretty good bunting rating, pretty good hit and run rating, but with the slow Oliver at first base, we're just going to play this one straight up. Swing, and Morris hits one to Roberts. Roberts' only play will be to first base, and so he gets the out at first, but Oliver moves on to second as the right-handed batting center fielder Billy Hatcher comes to the plate. Hatcher against Hurst. Hatcher is off to a good start this year, 271, yet to homer, but he has 14 RBIs through the middle of May. Let's see if he can get hold of this one. No, he swung and missed at that one. Hurst got him with a breaking ball on the outside edge, and Hatcher was not able to hold up his swing. So with 2 outs, it will be Paul O'Neill coming to the plate for Cincinnati. O'Neill swings and hits one down the left field line. It is deep if it stays fair, and it is a foul ball. Foul ball, a good scare, just a long strike for O'Neill. And on the next pitch, Hurst ties O'Neill up in knots with another curveball. And that is it for the Reds in the second. So a brief moment of excitement, but it was all for naught as that drive by O'Neill went foul. Top of the 3rd, and Bip Roberts will lead things off for San Diego as Scudder again faces the meat of the Padres lineup. And the pitch to Roberts is a comebacker right to Scudder, who tosses it to first for the easy out. And Fred McGriff will come to the plate. McGriff homered his first time at bat. And you can see he is a very stellar batter on both sides of the plate. And as the pitch comes in, it's hit to Mariano Duncan. Duncan, can he get to it? He gets to it, throws it to first and gets the out of McGriff. 2 down, 2 up and 2 down for the Reds here in the 3rd. And Darren Jackson comes to the plate, the center fielder for the Padres. Scudder delivers, and that one's low. Jackson is on with a 2-out walk. Jackson also a very good base stealer. He inches away from the bag slowly. He gets his lead, and he couldn't resist. There he goes. And the throw for the runner is out. Jackson's called out on a very close play. He provides a half-hearted argument for Eric Gregg, but that's not going to change anybody's mind. And Jackson retreats to the dugout, and the inning is over for San Diego. Finally, Scudder puts up a scoreless inning for the Reds, and he will be up to lead off the 3rd. Scudder has a little bit of pop in his bat. Let's see if he can get hold of one here against Bruce Hurst. He hits one to the right side, and it's past the diving McGriff. Roberts is able to chase it down in short right field, but there will be no play as Scudder reaches first with a base hit. Both teams with 4 hits now, and let's see if the Reds can convert that into some offense here in the bottom of the 3rd as Mariano Duncan comes to the plate. Duncan goes on a fishing trip on the high hard one. That one sailed up and out of the strike zone, but Duncan couldn't hold back, and he is retired for the first out on the strikeout. That is the 3rd strikeout for Hurst this afternoon. And here's Chris Sabo up next. The pitch to Sabo is swung on, and he can't pull the trigger on that one. He checked his swing, but it cost him strike 3, and that is another strikeout for Bruce Hurst. Here's Barry Larkin representing the final hope for the Reds here in the bottom of the third. Pitch to Larkin is hit to center field and deep. It is going to go for extra bases. Man on first can try to score, and with 2 outs, we're just going to send everybody. Scudder is running. Larkin is running, and Scudder makes it across the home plate, beats the throw to score the second run of the game. Give Larkin a double and an RBI. Larkin advances to third on the throw. And once again, it will be Glenn Braggs coming to the plate with a chance to tie the game here with 2 outs and Larkin perched at third. The pitch to Braggs. He swings and hits one to right. Gwynn drifting over. He settles under it and makes the catch. And that's all for the Reds in the third inning. But Cincinnati gets one back, and once again it is a 1-1 ball game. Top of the fourth, Benito Santiago, the number 5 hitter, will lead off for San Diego. Santiago hits another one to Duncan. Can Duncan get to it? He gets to it and makes the play for the first out of the inning. Here comes Tony Gwynn. Gwynn only .235 so far this season, and looking to do better against Scott Scudder. The pitch to Gwynn is grounded to second. Duncan comes up with it, throws it to first, but Gwynn beats it out for a single. And he will be your 1-out base runner for Gerald Clark. Gerald Clark, who walked his first time up. Gwynn takes his lead, but Scudder holds him close. And Gwynn cannot get the jump he needs to steal. Pitch to Clark. Gets away from Scudder. And Oliver can't handle it and charge a wild pitch. So Gwynn gets second base. Without benefit of a steal as Scudder uncorks a wild one. And he'll be at second now with 1 out as Gerald Clark steps back in. The pitch is grounded to the right side and through for a base hit. But Gwynn is going to have to pull up at third as the strong-armed O'Neill comes up throwing. And San Diego now has runners at the corners with 1 out. And Jack Howell at the plate. What are the Reds going to do? They're going to play for the double play and see if they can't save the get the double play and save the run from scoring here with 1 man out. The pitch to Howell is hit to center field. Hatcher giving chase, and at the track he makes the catch, but Gwynn will score easily. Mark that as a sacrifice fly for Jack Howell if you're scoring at home or even if you're by yourself. And it is now a 4-2 ball game in favor of the Padres. Cincinnati keeps trying to climb back in, and San Diego keeps putting up the insurance runs. And they have once again established a 2-run lead with Bruce Hurst coming to the plate. Gerald Clark remains at first with 2 men out. The pitch to Scudder is a jam job, grounded right to Larkin. Larkin over to Morris at first, but Bruce Hurst beats it out. How about that? That was a slow roller. Larkin charged and fired to first. Nice pickup and throw, but not in time to get Hurst at first. And he is on first now with the 7th hit of the game for the Padres. And that brings Tony Fernandez up to the plate with a chance to do some more damage for San Diego. The pitch to Fernandez is hit to the right side and through for another base hit. They're going to try and score the run. The throw is coming home, and Clark will score. And it is a 5-2 ball game. Once again, the Reds pitching is taking a pummeling as San Diego extends the lead in this battle for last place in the NL West. Bip Roberts now will be your 2-out hitter. And the pitch to Roberts is grounded to Morris. Can Morris make the play? He grabs it, throws it to first, not in time, and another infield hit for the Padres. Bases loaded now for Fred McGriff, the dangerous slugger. No place to put him. And this is going to prompt a mound visit from Joe Oliver and from Reds manager Lou Piniella. No fatigue yet, so they're going to keep Scudder rolling and see if he can't get out of this inning. And hopefully give the Reds at least 5 or 6 innings to keep them from burning out the tired guys in the bullpen. Pitch to McGriff. Strike 3. Scudder caught him looking. McGriff does not get it done, and that's it here in the top of the 4th. So, only 2 the Padres put up 2 runs, but it could have been a lot worse. as Cincinnati returns to the dish, now trailing by 3 runs, 5-2. And Joe Oliver, very nice guy, comes to the plate for the Reds to lead things off here in the bottom of the 4th. Oliver working against Hurst, hits a ground ball towards Roberts. Can Roberts get to it? He fields it cleanly, throws to first for the easy out. Hal Morris comes to the plate now with Billy Hatcher looking for a bat in the dugout. Morris facing against the lefty Hurst, and he swings and hits one out to center field. Darren Jackson has a long run, but he's there and hauls it in to retire Morris on the fairly deep fly ball for the second out of the inning. That brings to the plate Billy Hatcher. And Hatcher swings and hits one to shortstop, a sinking line drive caught by Tony Fernandez for the final out of the inning. And through 4 complete, it's the Padres 5, the Reds 2. Scott Scudder comes out for his 5th inning of work, and he'll face cleanup hitter Darren Jackson leading off for the Padres. Jackson is gone on strikes, left with the bat still in the cocked position. And that is just the 2nd strikeout for Scudder this afternoon against 9 hits and 2 walks in only 4+ innings of work. Benito Santiago comes to the plate. Santiago, a stellar defensive catcher and a respectable hitter. .267 was his batting average for 1991 with 17 home runs and 87 RBIs that season. Santiago would later come over to Cincinnati and be part of a very strong 1995 Reds team that went to the National League Championship Series. Santiago swings and hits a soft line drive. Chris Sabo catches that one easily for the second out of the inning. And here comes 2 for 2 Tony Gwynn with 2 runs scored, having a nice day against Scudder. Let's see if he can extend his day. He hits another one to the right side in the direction of Mariano Duncan. He hits a ground ball into the hole. Duncan makes an incredible stop, but he cannot make the throw. Score that a single. And that is about the 3rd or 4th infield hit that the right side of the Reds infield has surrendered this afternoon. 10 hits overall for the Padres. Here's Gerald Clark also enjoying a perfect afternoon. 1 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. And the pitch to Clark is ball 4. Clark will trot down to first. Gwynn is now on second. And that is now 100 pitches for Scudder. That's twice that Scudder's gotten the first 2 outs of the inning and then run into trouble later on. No fatigue yet for Scudder, and he is due to bat, I believe, first in the next inning. No, Scudder's due to bat second in the next inning. So let's try and get Scudder through this 3rd out against the .229 hitting Jack Howell in the clutch. Pitch to Howell is low and away, ball 4. And that's going to load him up for Bruce Hurst. If we can't get the pitcher out, then Scudder is a sad excuse for a starting pitcher. So we're pitching to Hurst, and the pitch to Hurst is grounded down the line. Morris grabs it, trots to the bag, and once again, Scudder escapes further damage, but he's given up 10 hits and 5 runs through 5 complete in a quite lackluster Sunday afternoon on the mound. Paul O'Neill to lead things off, the 8th hole hitter, batting against Bruce Hurst. O'Neill gave the fans a little bit of excitement with a long foul ball on his last at bat before Hurst struck him out. And O'Neill hits this one again to the left side and past Fernandez into the outfield for a leadoff single. Scott Scudder is going to be taken down now after just a very awful performance, although Scudder's not actually a bad hitter. Let's see if we can get a sense of how he would do at the dish. No, we don't have any comparison stats for Scudder as a hitter. So we'll close down the compare window, and let's see who we've got available for pinch hitting duties. Carmelo Martinez is a guy I like to use in this situation. Basically, You're not going to need him for anything later in the game. Put him up there, let him swing for the fences. You've got Quinones and Davis and um, guys that you can use, Bill Doran, that you can use for pinch hitting later in the contest. So we're sending Carmelo Martinez up. You've got one job, and that's to hit home runs. And Martinez looks at backdoor breaking ball for strike three. Bruce Hurst was the master of the backdoor breaking ball. And he tied up a lot of righties with that tantalizing slow curve ball that would look like it was going to be way out of the strike zone and then just break back over the outside corner and tie these right-handed batters up in knots. So that is going to be another strikeout for Bruce Hurst. That is 5 on the afternoon through 4 1/3 innings for the crafty left-hander. Here's Mariano Duncan. Reds still trailing 5-2. Duncan swings and hits one to the mound. Hurst tosses it to second. The throw to first is not in time, and that will be a fielder's choice. Score that 1-6. 1-4 on the play. Roberts could not get the double play turned over. And your 2-out header will be Chris Sabo. Sabo, very popular figure around Cincinnati in the 90s, and recently named the head baseball coach for one of my alma maters, the University of Akron. And Sabo hits this one out to left. Gerald Clark is out there. He backpedals, sticks up his glove, and makes the catch for the 3rd out of the inning. And the Reds now need a pitcher, trailing by 3. Who will it be? The batters for San Diego are going to be the top of the order, Fernandez, Roberts, and McGriff. Switch hitter, lefty. The Reds trailing by 3. And we've got some utilization problems in the bullpen. Don Carmen is a lefty who is a mop-up guy who they used to refer to in Cincinnati as the human batting tee. Carmen had some good years earlier in his career, but by the time he got to Cincinnati, he did not excel, and in fact was a good mop-up guy for situations like this, when the Reds were in a deficit and needed somebody to come out and eat innings, and that's going to be Carmen's job today. Beatles Eternally is in the chat room. Hello, Beatles. It's good to see you, and glad to have you in for today's ball game. This is the 1991 Cincinnati Reds replay as part of a group effort called the Historical Baseball Project. And the Reds are not a stellar team in 1991 due to pitching problems, and tonight's starter, Scott Scudder, gave up 5 runs and 10 hits over 5 innings of work to be replaced by Don Carmen, who is the mop-up guy for this afternoon. Tony Fernandez will lead things off, and he hits one out to left field. Glenn Braggs goes after it, racing hard, dives, and makes the catch. Beautiful play by Glenn Braggs for the 1st out of the 6th. And that will bring Bip Roberts to the plate. Roberts 2 for 3 already with a run scored. And he hits one to second base. Mariano Duncan comes up with that one and tosses to Morris for the 2nd out. And here is Fred McGriff, the big bopper. Already hit a home run this afternoon. Let's see how he does against the lefty Don Carmen. The pitch from Carmen is shot to short. Larkin with the backhand play to first, but not in time as McGriff lugs out the infield single. And that will bring cleanup hitter Darren Jackson to the plate. Jackson has walked, but is otherwise 0 for 2. And the pitch from Carmen is juiced to deep center field, and he is going to fall in for extra bases. Rob Piccolo is waving the run home, and the Reds are going to throw at him. It's only a 55% chance that McGriff will score, and McGriff does score on the double by Jackson. So yet again, the first 2 men go out, and the Padres do damage with 2 outs. And it is now a 6-2 ball game with Benito Santiago coming to the plate. Santiago holds up on the curve in the dirt, and he will take first on the walk. And that brings the lefty Tony Gwynn to the plate. 3 for 3 with 2 runs scored on the afternoon. Carmen's pitch to Gwynn is a changeup, and it is a gem. He struck him out. Gwynn was way out in front on that one. But the Padres add another run, and it is now a 6-2 ball game as Bruce Hurst continues to roll into the bottom of the sixth inning. It will be 3, 4, and 5, Larkin, Braggs, and Joe Oliver for the Reds as we start things off here in the sixth. Pitch to Larkin is low, and Larkin was able to stay away from that backdoor breaking ball and draw the walk to bring Glenn Braggs to the plate. Braggs made a brilliant defensive play earlier in the game. Let's see if he can collect another base hit. He's 1 for 2 with a run scored. And this is a base hit to right for Glenn Braggs. Larkin has an 80% chance to advance to third. We're going to go ahead and send him. And the Padres will predictably cut off the throw and hold Braggs to first base. With the 4-run lead, there's no need to take chances with throwing the ball around the infield. That will bring Joe Oliver to the plate with 2 on and none out. Let's see if Oliver can do some damage. The pitch to Oliver is another high cheese ball. Swung on and missed. And that is strikeout number 6 for Hurst on the afternoon. Let's see if Hal Morris can get this run home. Morris swings and hits one down the right field line, and it's going to drop in for extra bases. Larkin will score. Glenn Braggs is going to hold up at third base with just 1 out. And it is now a 6-3 ball game, and that brings Billy Hatcher to the plate, and he carries the tying run for the Reds. Hurst is still only at 84 pitches. So we'll see if the San Diego manager decides to stick with Hurst as the Reds have mounted a threat here and brought the tying run to the plate in the bottom of the sixth. They will indeed pitch to Hatcher, and Hatcher smashes one into left field, and that's going to score both runners, and it is now a 1-run ball game. How about that? The Reds have come off the mat to score 3 runs and pull to within 1 run with the slugger Paul O'Neill coming to the plate. O'Neill, a lefty, against the left-handed throwing Hurst. Hurst swings, and O'Neill sends a scorcher to short. Fernandez takes it on 1 hop, fires to Roberts for 1, and back to McGriff for the double play. That retires the side, but once again it is a ball game as the Reds pull back to within 6-5. That's going to put Don Carmen on a very short leash. Carmen is scheduled to lead off the 7th inning for the Reds. So do we try and sneak him past the bottom of the lineup, or do we go back to the bullpen for some help? Well, we're going to let Carmen pitch to Gerald Clark because he's got 2 left-handers coming up behind that. And so we will give him the chance against the .228 hitting Gerald Clark. Carmen delivers, and Clark hits one to right field. Short right field. Will it be Morris? Will it be O'Neill? Morris backing and calling, and he makes the catch for the first out of the inning. And that brings left-handed hitting Jack Howell to the plate. Howell takes the pitch, and that is called strike 3. Howell cannot believe it. He says something to the ump, but chalk up a whiff for Carmen, and that is 2 down. It looked inside from Howell's perspective, but he caught the corner. The umpire rung him up, and his is the only opinion that matters. So here's Bruce Hurst, 1 for 2 on the day. And he swings and misses. Surprisingly, they let Hurst bat for himself after running into trouble in the 7th. But Hurst is still well under his pitch limit for the day. And we have our 7th inning trivia question. As of 2019, name the last White Sox pitcher to have at least 20 wins in a season. We'll see if anybody in the chat room has any answers to that before I take my shot. And then we'll see what the answer is. In our first doubleheader, we had 1 correct answer from the chat room and 1 correct answer from the broadcast booth. So we are tied at 1-1. We'll give about another 15 seconds here for the chat room to see if anybody has a guess as to the last White Sox pitcher to have at least 20 wins in a season. And folks must be enjoying their afternoon or stumped by their trivia question. My guess is going to be Chris Sale. I could be wrong, but Chris Sale is the first name that comes to mind. Prior to that, I'm thinking Mark Burley. And prior to that, we'd have to go back to Lamar Hoyt or somebody of that ilk. So I'm going to go with Chris Sale. And the correct answer is Esteban Loaiza, 21 wins in 2003. I'm surprised that as good as Sale was, he never won 20 for the White Sox. I'm also surprised that Burley didn't win 20. But Esteban Loaiza is your answer to the first trivia question of the afternoon. And Don Carmen is scheduled to lead off, but he gave the Reds a decent effort. But he is going to be taken down for a pinch hitter as the Reds look to tie the ball game. Let's see, they've got Bill Doran, who is a very good hitter against lefties. And he can also stay in the game and play second base if so desired and give the Reds an upgrade on defense. So we'll bring Bill Doran into the ball game. .280 batter in 1991 with a .361 on-base percentage. So he's a good choice to lead things off as the pinch hitter against Bruce Hurst. Hurst delivers and Doran hits one to the left side. Fernandez snags that one and throws it to first for the out. And Hurst retires the first batter to face him in the bottom of the seventh. Here's Mariano Duncan. Duncan swings and hits one through the left side of the infield and into left field for a base hit. Gerald Clark retrieves the ball, throws it back into second base. And Chris Sabo will be your one-out batter, with Duncan at first representing the tying run. Pitch to Sabo, swung on and hit to left center field. It's a routine pop-up. Jackson moving in, Fernandez moving out, and it will be Fernandez making the catch for the second out of the inning. And that brings Barry Larkin to the plate as the Reds' final opportunity to do some damage with Duncan at first and now two outs. The pitch to Larkin is swung on and hit to the right side. Hurst actually comes up with it as he gets off the mound quickly and tosses it to McGriff to retire the side. So that's the end of the seventh, and the Padres continue to lead 6-5, and the Reds need a new pitcher. It will be the top of the order with Fernandez, Roberts, and McGriff. This will be a good spot for Milt Hill to come into the game. Milt is a righty who performs very well against left-handed batters as judged by that 8L pitching rating. And we are indeed going to bring him in to replace Duncan at second base. So Hill comes in to pitch. Bill Doran remains in the game to play second base. And we'll see how Milt can do against two switch hitters and a lefty to start things off here in the top of the eighth inning. His pitch to Fernandez is lifted to right. O'Neill charges, he dives, but he cannot make the play. And he will be on first base, and Glenn Sample is going to be generous and call that a hit for Tony Fernandez. Some speculation from the broadcast booth that could have been an error, but Glenn Sample was a fine official scorer for the Reds, and his decisions were very rarely questioned by anybody who knew the first thing about baseball. That's going to put the Reds in a tough spot here with Fernandez, a good base stealer, on at first, carrying an insurance run. He's got a 90% chance to steal. He looks for his lead. Hill holds him close. And the pitch to Roberts is an attempted bunt. And that goes foul, and the count is 1-2. Will they keep the bunt play on? No. Roberts swings at the 2-2 pitch, and he misses, and that is the end of Bip Roberts. He is punched out, and that is the first out of the inning. Fernandez remains at first base, and your one-out batter will be Fred McGriff. And McGriff hits a base hit to right. O'Neill once again comes up with that strong arm and holds Fernandez at second base, preventing him from advancing to third. And now we have a dilemma because we've got some righties coming up who can do some damage against a backwards guy like Milt Hill. So the Reds are immediately going to go back to the bullpen, and it's going to be the right-hander Ted Power coming into the game to face these next two righties, as the Reds need to pull out all the stops here to keep this one from getting out of hand and have a chance to even the score. So Ted Power will come on to face Darren Jackson. Jackson swings and hits one to left field for a base hit. Here comes Fernandez around third, and he scores another insurance run, and San Diego has once again extended the lead to 7-5. So Ted Power came in to get the righty and could not get the job done. Here's Benito Santiago. Santiago swings and hits one right back to the mound. Taken by Power, throws a second for one. The relay to first is not in time. So score that a force at second. 1-6 on the out. McGriff moves to third. Santiago is your base runner at first. And your two-out batter will be Tony Gwynn. And once again, this is a dicey situation for Cincinnati. Gwynn, a very good hitter. And the Reds are going to go back to the bullpen. And this time they are going to bring on Norm Charlton to see if he can have success against the lefty Gwynn and get the Reds out of this inning without any further damage. So this will be the third pitcher of the inning for Cincinnati. Charlton actually started a number of games, started 11 games for the Reds in 1991, but also split time in the bullpen, as did Randy Myers, as the Reds struggled to find the right combination of pitching to keep themselves afloat in the NL West without success. So it will be Gwynn to face Charlton with two outs and runners at the corners. The pitch from Charlton is swung on and grabbed by Sabo. And Sabo throws it across the inning, and Norm Charlton gets the job done against Gwynn, holding the deficit to 2 runs as the Big Boppers, Glenn Braggs and Joe Oliver, will come to the plate in the bottom of the 8th for Cincinnati. Braggs hits one deep to center field. It is way back. It is a mighty clout. Jackson pulls up. You can put it on the board. That piece of halibut was good enough for Jehovah, says Glenn Braggs as he circles the bases, and the Reds once again pull back to within 1 run. Glenn Braggs had some of the biggest arms you'll ever see, and he got all of that one from Bruce Hurst. And it is a 7-6 ball game. Here's Joe Oliver against Hurst, and Oliver hits one hard, but right back at Tony Fernandez. Fernandez makes the grab of the hard liner for the first out of the inning. Here's Hal Morris. Morris against Hurst. Hurst is over his pitch limit, but still toiling on the mound. He's going to face the lefty Morris. The pitch to Morris is grounded down the line to McGriff. Can McGriff get there? He does. And McGriff will take it himself for the second out of the inning. Here's Billy Hatcher. Hatcher is going to hit one to center field. Darren Jackson is running to his left. Can he make the play? Yes, he does. He gets there in time, and it is a 7-6 ball game as we go to the 9th. Back and forth we go. Nice Python reference, says Beatles Eternally. Yeah, I'm still getting my timing down for these baseball broadcasts. This is only my second baseball broadcast, but I wanted to use that halibut reference for a home run call, and glad I got the chance to pull that one out. I've got a few more up my sleeve for future opportunities, but yeah, that piece of halibut was good enough for Jehovah. So here's Gerald Clark. leading off the ninth. The Reds are going to stick with Charlton, although they have Rob Dibble still available. They've got Clark followed by a couple of lefties. So we'll leave Charlton out there to face Gerald Clark. And Clark hits one out to right. It will be Paul O'Neill ranging over to make the catch for the first out of the inning. Here's Jack Howell, left-handed batter to face the lefty Charlton, and the pitch to Howell is smashed over short, just over the outstretched glove of Barry Larkin, and Howell is on with a base hit. That is 16 hits now for San Diego, as Howell is on at first, and Bruce Hurst comes to the plate. Are they going to keep Hurst out there for the ninth, or are they going to go to the bullpen? Let's see what they're going to do. And yes, Herb Wilson will send up a pinch hitter for Bruce Hurst, and it will be Thomas Howard, the native of Southwest Ohio. Germantown, Ohio was Thomas Howard's place of birth, kind of on the outskirts of the Cincinnati-Dayton area. And Howard will be the right-hander to face Charlton now with one out and Jack Howell at first base. The pitch to Thomas Howard is swung on and missed, and Howard goes down on strikes. And with two out, Tony Fernandez will come to the plate. Fernandez has had a wonderful day at the plate, 3 for 5 with 2 runs batted in, looking to keep this inning alive and perhaps see if the Padres can again extend the lead against the Cincinnati bullpen. The pitch from Charlton is a hard slider, and Fernandez takes that one right down the middle. Strike 3 called, and that wraps it up for San Diego. Craig Lefferts is your closer, and he will be coming into the game with a record of 1-2 and an ERA of 5.40 in 15 innings of work. 3 saves have been recorded by Lefferts, and he's got the lefty Paul O'Neill coming to the plate. O'Neill has some pop, but let's see if we want to go to the bench for somebody who may have a better performance against left-handed pitching. So we'll take a look at the compare function, and here we can see that O'Neill has a 33.3% chance of striking out against Lefferts and a much lower chance of actually getting on base. His on base would be 247, his strikeout percentage 333. So let's see what we've got on the bench. First name that comes to mind is Eric Davis, because we can plug him right into the outfield. And you can see that Davis has a 340 on base percentage against Lefferts and a 2.7% chance of knocking a home run. Plus he'll be a threat to steal if he gets on first base carrying the tying run. So we will bring Eric Davis in to pinch hit for O'Neill. And Rob is in the chat room. Hello, Rob. How's it going? I just barely missed your race this afternoon. I got on just as your stream was expiring, so I got to catch up. I'm about 5 races behind or so. I think I watched number 4 the other night, and still got a few to pick up. Those are fun to watch, though. I'm enjoying your auto racing. And let's see what Davis can do. He'll be followed by the switch hitting Bill Doran, and then the pitcher spot as the Reds try to tie the game, 1 to tie, 2 to win here in the bottom of the ninth. Davis against Lefferts. Lefferts delivers, and Davis hits a high pop up into foul ground. Can he get to hit? Bip Roberts cannot get there, and it's a foul ball. So on the next pitch, Davis hits a ground ball to the right side. Can Roberts get there? Roberts ranges to his left, scoops it up, and throws him out by just 1 step at first base. Close play. Davis runs 6 races in a row. I think you're lying to me, Rob. How dare you come into my chat room and lie to me on a Sunday? I think there's something in the book of Hezekiah about that. Here's Bill Doran representing the next opportunity for the Reds to get the tying run on base. Doran pinch hit earlier in the game and stayed in the game to play second base. Doran against Lefferts swung on and missed. And that is a strikeout, and the Reds are down to their final out. It's not going to be Norm Charlton. Let's see who the Reds have on who can swing for the fences. Let's see. Reed hit 3 home runs in 270 at-bats. That's not very good odds. Quinones 4 home runs in 212 at-bats. He would be their normal pinch hitter in this situation. Herb Winningham is a lefty defensive specialist, and Freddie Bettavini's has seen no action yet for the Reds, and in fact, he shouldn't even be in this ball game, as he was called up briefly to fill in for Bill Doran, who was out with an injury. But Doran is back, and I need to put Benavides back in the minors. So it will be Luis Quinones as the last hope for the Reds against Craig Lefferts. And if they can get him on, they'll have a chance to do some damage with Larkin and Sabo. So let's see what Quinones can do against Lefferts. The pitch is swung on and hit to center field. Darren Jackson gets a great jump, closes in quickly, and a great play made by Darren Jackson to save a potential extra base hit from Quinones and end your ball game. So that's the final out of the game, and in an exciting contest, the final score is San Diego 7 and the Reds 6. So let's take a look at your box score for that performance. And it was the top of the order that did all of the damage for the Padres. Tony Fernandez, 3 hits, 2 runs scored. Fred McGriff, 2 runs, 2 RBIs on a 3-for-5 day. Jackson, 2 for 4 with 2 runs driven in. Tony Gwynn, 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored. 16 hits for the Padres. Scott Scudder takes the loss, drops to 0-2 with the ERA at 7.36. 5 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 10 hits, 4 walks. The bullpen did not so good either, as they went 4 innings and gave up 6 hits and 2 more runs, as the Reds offense just couldn't do enough to dig their way out of the holes dug by this inept pitching staff. Home runs on the game were number 4 for McGriff, number 3 for Glenn Braggs. And that is the end of Game 1 of today's doubleheader. Beatles Eternally, thanks for stopping in. Good to see you back in the chat. And here's Rob. What's up, Dave G, Beatles, Amish E? Okay, our next contest will be the San Francisco Giants coming to town. And it will be John Burkett against Tom Browning in the second game of today's doubleheader. The Giants have a team that I really enjoyed watching, considering that this was a West Coast team and they were rivals of the Reds, but a lot of guys on this team that I really appreciated watching. Darren Lewis was a stellar defensive center fielder, and he's your leadoff hitter. Willie McGee came over towards the end of his career, and he'll be your number 2 hole hitter. 3, 4, and 5 are as good as it gets. Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, Matt Williams. That was a murderer's row for the Giants, and I really liked watching those guys. Robbie Thompson is your second baseman, batting 6th. Another fine hitter, particularly against lefties. Kurt Manwaring is the catcher. Jose Uribe is the shortstop. And the number 9 batter is your pitcher, John Burkett, the well-traveled John Burkett. For the Reds, once again, it will be Barry Larkin to lead things off, as our righty lineup is on the field. Hal Morris moves up to the number 2 hole, followed by Sabo. O'Neill, Eric Davis, and Bill Doran. Jeff Reed will handle the catching duties today. Billy Hatcher in left field, and Tom Browning on the mound for the Reds. Browning on the season is 2-4 with a 4.27 ERA. 59 innings pitched, 5 home runs. Burkett is off to a 4-1 start. 51 innings pitched, 52 hits, and 6 home runs, a high home run total for Burkett. Those are your game notes for today's broadcast. Let's go to the ballpark for Game 2 of today's doubleheader. As Darren Lewis is in to lead things off against Tom Browning. Browning prone to giving up the home run ball, but otherwise a solid pitcher throughout his career. His first pitch to Lewis is grounded to the third base side, but Sabo cannot get to it as it bounces over his head, and Lewis is on with a single for your first hit of the ball game. And here's Willie McGee, perennial all-star, perennial 300 hitter. Not a handsome fellow, but a very, very good baseball player. McGee hits one up the middle, and it is into center field for a base hit. And already the powerful Giants are making trouble for Tom Browning as Will Clark comes to the plate. Clark batting lefty against Browning. The pitch to Clark is grounded to short. Larkin, a very good player in the defense. He gets it over to Doran. Doran to first for the double play as Larkin turns that one over with style. Darren Lewis moves to third on the play, and that brings Kevin Mitchell to the plate as your 2-out hitter with a chance to drive in the first run of the game for the Giants. The pitch from Browning is hit to third base. Chris Sabo picks it up and tosses it over to first for the out, and Browning gets out of the inning without any damage being done. So no runs on 2 hits, no errors, 1 runner left on base for the Giants. And here's John Burkett. Burkett, a well-traveled veteran, spent time in Atlanta, spent time in Texas, and also here in San Francisco, and probably other places. My biggest memory of John Burkett is that I saw him pitch for the Texas Rangers in Arlington Stadium in the very first game of my historical baseball journeys. I have recently, as of 2016, actually completed my tour of seeing every major league team in their home ballpark. Some of the teams I've seen in previous ballparks, I have not seen every single active major league ballpark. For example, I saw the Astros play in the Astrodome. I have not been back to Houston since then, but I have seen all the teams in their home parks at some point over the course of my life. And later this summer, I will be running a History Maker baseball tournament with all of those teams that I've seen in their home ballparks, starting with the 1988 Philadelphia Phillies, all the way through the 2016 Oakland A's and San Francisco Giants, which were the last 2 teams that I saw to complete the circuit. I kept extensive journals of those travels, and the very first game I journaled was in Arlington Stadium in Texas, where John Burkett had a stellar outing against the Colorado Rockies. And that has been one of my fond baseball memories, was starting that journey around the country. So Burkett will face the Reds today as a member of the New York Giants, and Barry Larkin is your leadoff hitter. Larkin swings and hits one to left center field. It is deep. It will be in there for extra bases as Kevin Mitchell chases it down, and Larkin pulls in at second with a double. He ups his hitting streak to 7 games with his first hit of the day. And the Reds have a scoring opportunity here in the first inning. Here's Hal Morris. Morris hits one to the right side and into right field for a base hit. Larkin will score easily as the Giants cut off the throw and hold Morris to first base with an RBI single. So how about that? 2 batters, and the Reds have plated their first run. And Sabo will be the number 3 hole hitter with Morris at first and nobody out. Pitch to Sabo is hit to the left side. Robbie Thompson is there. He goes to first base with it. That'll do it for Sabo, but Morris advances to second on the broken bat grounder, and there's 1 away. Paul O'Neill is now your batter with Morris in scoring position. O'Neill swings at the fastball. No, he held up his swing, and that's ball 4. and O'Neill will move to first base, and that will bring Eric Davis to the plate. Davis did not have a great season in 1991. He batted only .235, was limited to 285 at-bats due to injury. 11 home runs, 33 RBIs. But it's always an exciting moment when Davis comes to the plate. He was such a stellar athlete and such an explosive ball player that Eric Davis is my favorite player of all time. And Davis this time holds up and takes that pitch for a ball. He walks to load the bases, and that brings Bill Doran to the plate. The Reds making some noise here in the first. They've already got a run home. They've got the bases loaded and one out as Doran looks to extend the lead. San Francisco is going to play back, hoping for a double play to end the threat. The pitch to Doran is swung on. It bounces in front of the plate, gets by Manwaring, and that will be a wild pitch. Morris will score. The other two runners move up, and it is now a 2-0 ball game. Giants will keep the infield back as Burkett sets and delivers to Doran. This pitch is popped up into foul territory. Robbie Thompson moving to his left, and in foul territory he makes the catch for the second out of the inning. And with two outs, here is Jeff Reed. He is the lefty half of the Reds' catching platoon and a very steady receiver. Reed swings and hits one to the left side. Williams makes the grab, throws it across the diamond to Clark for the out. 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 men left on base. And after one, it's the Reds leading the San Francisco Giants 2-0. Matt Williams to lead things off for the Giants. A righty slugger and a stellar defensive third baseman. This is a guy I just really have a lot of respect for. He offers it the curveball, but he couldn't get his bat out of the way. And it's a soft line drive to Barry Larkin for the out. Williams never even got out of the batter's box. And with one out, here is Robbie Thompson, the fine second baseman for the Giants. Thompson hits one to the right side. Bill Doran takes it on one hop and tosses it over to first for the second out of the inning. And up next will be your catcher, Kurt Manwaring. Pitch to Manwaring is grounded to Sabo. Sabo picks it up and tosses it to first. 3 up and 3 down for Browning in the second, as the Reds have staked him to a 2-0 lead as they come to bat here in the bottom of the inning. It will be 8-9-1, Hatcher, Browning, and Barry Larkin for the Reds here in the second. Pitch to Hatcher is grounded towards Uribe. Uribe makes a great play, fires to first, and Ed Montague calls him out. Fine defensive play by Uribe, ranging into the hole and firing a seed to Will Clark at first base to retire Hatcher for the first out of the inning. Here's Tom Browning. Browning takes a fastball low and inside, and Browning is on with a 1-out walk. That is 3 walks already for Burkett in just 1 1/3 innings pitched. And that is uncharacteristic of John Burkett on the mound. Here's Barry Larkin at the plate. Doubled and scored in the first. And he hits another one to center field. Lewis moving to his left, and Darren Lewis makes the play. Hal Morris will be your 2-out batter. Morris off to a fine start already with 8 home runs and a .340 batting average for the Reds through just 6 weeks of play. Pitch to Morris is swung on and missed, strike 3. That's it for Cincinnati. After 2, it's the Reds 2 and San Francisco nothing. And here is Jose Uribe leading things off for San Francisco after making that fine defensive play in the top of the inning, in the second inning. Uribe smacks one into deep left center field. Davis and Hatcher converge, but the ball is off the base of the wall. And Uribe will coast into second base with a double. And the first place Giants are making some noise here in the third. Here's John Burkett coming to the plate. .091 is his batting average. And he pops a fly ball into short center field. Davis comes in to make the catch, and Uribe will hold at second. Both Davis and O'Neill have really good arms in the outfield, as they proved in the 1990 NLCS, as both Davis and O'Neill had remarkably memorable outfield assists in that series as the Reds beat the Pirates to move to the 1990 World Series. But 1991 is a different story, and the Reds are your cellar dwellers, and they're doing battle with the first place Giants here as Darren Lewis steps in to face Browning with one out and Uribe remaining at second base. Lewis slaps a routine grounder to Barry Larkin. Larkin looks Uribe back to second and tosses one to Morris for the second out of the inning. That will bring Willie McGee to the plate in the clutch. Pitch from Browning is swung on and missed. Strike three. Browning pulled the string on him, and San Francisco is retired with another scoreless inning. And after 2.5, it is still the Reds 2 and the Giants nothing. Chris Sabo in to face Burkett, and the pitch to Sabo is grounded to the left side, picked up by Matt Williams across to Will Clark for the first out. Paul O'Neill will be up next, and he hits another one to Williams. Williams makes the pickup and tosses it over to Clark for the second out of the inning. Both Williams at third and Clark at first are one-rated fielders. And in a lot of seasons, Darren Lewis was also a one-rated center fielder. Didn't have the strongest arm, but he had great range and very sure hands in center field. So good defensive team here, the San Francisco Giants. Your two-out batter will be Eric Davis, who walked in his first at-bat. And Davis swung on and missed, strike three. 3 up and 3 down. And we are through 3 now, with the Reds still holding a 2-0 lead. Here's Will Clark to lead off against Browning. The pitch to Clark is hit to center field. It's a towering fly ball. Eric Davis sprints over and makes the catch for your first out of the inning. And here comes the dangerous right-handed slugger Kevin Mitchell. The pitch to Mitchell is flied to deep left field. Hatcher retreating. He leaps and he's got it. Hatcher makes a great play at the wall to bring back the home run and preserve the 2-0 lead for the Reds, with Matt Williams coming to the plate. The pitch to Williams is popped up into foul territory. Larkin moves over behind third base, and he makes the catch to retire the side and bring the Reds to the plate, still leading 2-0 as we head to the bottom of the fourth. It will be 6, 7, and 8, Doran, Reed, and Hatcher for the Reds against John Burkett. Doran hits the ball to Williams. That's never a good idea, as Williams makes the easy pickup and continues his stellar defensive work at the hot corner. Jeff Reed now, batting seventh, hits a pop-up in the direction of Kurt Manwaring. He grabs it for the out. Quickly 2 up and 2 down. And Billy Hatcher hits one out to left field. And that one drops in front of Kevin Mitchell for a base hit for Hatcher, and he now has a hitting streak of 11 games. 1 for 2 on the evening. And that will turn over the lineup for the Reds, as Tom Browning will come to the plate here in the bottom of the fourth, with the Reds still up 2-0. Browning was no slouch at the plate. 171 for the season. This one bounces in front of the plate and gets by Manwaring, and that will allow Hatcher to move over to second and give Browning a chance to help his own cause. He hits one out to right center, and Willie McGee is ranging after it. That's in the gap. McGee makes an outstanding running catch to save a run and rob Tom Browning of extra bases. As I mentioned, these Giants are a fine defensive squad, and Willie McGee showed his mettle on that play to keep the Giants' deficit to 2-0. Robbie Thompson to lead off the fifth inning for San Francisco against Browning. And Thompson hits one to second base, and Doran snares the hot line drive for the first out of the inning. Next up will be the catcher, Kurt Manwaring. He swings and hits a ball to Sabo, and by him into left field. Hatcher quickly over to pick the ball up and get it back into the infield and hold Manwaring to a single. So it will be Manwaring on first base with Jose Uribe coming to the plate. Uribe doubled in his first plate appearance against Browning, and this time he hits a fly ball to left field. Billy Hatcher moves under it and makes the one-handed catch for the second out of the inning, and that will bring John Burkett to the plate. He of the .091 batting average. And Burkett also hits a routine fly to Hatcher, and Hatcher has to charge in and make the play with the second base umpire hustling out to make the call and be sure that Hatcher didn't trap that one. So that ends the fifth. We are halfway through game two, and the Reds continue to hold a 2-0 lead as Browning is coasting along with 4 hits and no runs so far in the game. Barry Larkin to lead things off for the Reds. He has doubled in 2 at-bats, and he hits one to center field. Smashed on the ground into the center field alley and in for extra bases. Larkin rounds second, thinks about going to third, but hustles back to second with a leadoff double and a chance for the Reds to add to a 2-0 lead as Hal Morris comes to the plate. Morris already with a hit and an RBI in this game, and he hits this one to right field. McGee drifting over slowly makes the easy catch. Larkin will stay put at second base as Morris is retired for the first out. Here's Sabo. Sabo hits one to left field and deep. It is way back. It is out of here. Home run number 8 for Chris Sabo. It's a 2-run Johnson, and the Reds have doubled the lead. It's 4-0 now as Sabo touches them all. And with 1 out, and the Reds now leading by 4, here's Paul O'Neill. O'Neill hits one to the right side. Actually, John Burkett cuts that one off, picks it up and fires to first. A fine defensive effort by Will Clark to bring that one in and retire O'Neill for the second out of the inning. And with 2 outs, here's Eric Davis, 0 for 1 with a walk. And Davis lays off that one, and he's got another walk. And with a 4-0 lead, Davis is going to look for the opportunity to steal. 19% chance of getting his lead. Burkett watches him closely, but there he goes. And Manwaring throws him out. How about that? Strong throw by Manwaring to retire Davis on the stolen base attempt. Davis has a few words for Dana DeMuth. Manager Dave Little comes out to defend his man. And eventually cooler heads prevail as manager Dave Little and Eric Davis head back to the dugout. And that ends the 5th inning, but not without some controversy. Top of the 6th now, Darren Lewis coming to the plate as the Giants have the top of the order. Lewis swings and hits one to center. Davis ranges over. Can he get there in time? He's under it and makes the catch. Lewis was a little bit out in front of that one. And that will bring Willie McGee to the plate with nobody on and 1 man out. The pitch to McGee is swung on. Oh, he held up his swing, but it cost him strike 3. And there are now 2 men out. Browning cruising with the 4-run lead as he faces the left-handed slugger first baseman Will Clark. That pitch to Will Clark is driven to right. It's long. It's hooking. Is it fair? It's gone. That's a home run for Will Clark. And it is now a 4-1 ball game. And that will bring Kevin Mitchell to the plate. Browning did have a tendency to give up solo home runs. And Clark got him that time. The pitch to Mitchell is grounded to the right side. Can Doran get there? He snags it in short right field, but the throw gets away. And Mitchell will end up at second base. They score that as a single and a throwing error on Doran. And that'll bring Matt Williams to the plate with 2 out and Mitchell now at second base as Browning tries to get out of the 6th inning without any further damage. The pitch to Williams is hit past Larkin and into center field for a hit. But that ball is hit too sharply to allow Mitchell to score. And it is now 4-1 with runners at the corners and Robbie Thompson at the plate carrying the tying run. That's going to bring a trip to the mound. Browning has now reached his point of weakness. He is fatigued. And I don't think we can afford to mess around with the tying run at the plate. So that is going to be all for Browning. He coasted through the first 5 innings before he ran into trouble here in inning number 6, facing that murderer's row of Clark, Mitchell, and Williams, and they all touched him up, and that is going to send Tom Browning to the showers. And in to replace Tom Browning, to face the right-handed batting Robbie Thompson, will be Ted Power, the right-handed middleman. They need this out. They need this out right now. So they're going to bring their righty to the mound without benefit of a double switch, despite the fact that the pitcher's spot is up 4th in the bottom of the 6th. So Ted Power on the mound, Robbie Thompson at the plate. The pitch to Thompson bounces away from Reed, and that's going to be scored a wild pitch. That's going to score Mitchell from third to make it 4-2. Matt Williams takes second on the play as Power comes into the game and promptly uncorks a wild one to allow the run. Charge that run to Browning and bring Thompson back to the dish. This time Thompson hits one to left. Camped under it is Hatcher. He makes the catch, but San Francisco cuts the lead in half with a 2-run 6th. And as the Reds come to the plate in the bottom of the 6th, it's now a 4-2 ball game. John Burkett still on the mound for the Giants against Bill Doran to lead off with a ground ball down the third baseline to Matt Williams, and another fine play by Matt Williams on the defensive side to retire Doran for the first out. Here's Jeff Reed. Off to a slow start this season. He missed a week or so with injury. And tonight he is 0 for 2, and for the season he is batting .235. Let's see how he can do against Burkett. He hits one right on the nose to right field. And Willie McGee will pick that one up and flip it to second base, and Reed is on with a 1-out single. That brings Billy Hatcher to the plate. Hatcher hits one to the mound. Burkett comes up with it, tosses to second for the out. Throw to first, not in time. So Hatcher's on at first, and that will bring Ted Power to the plate. He is no kind of a hitter. So what do we do here? Do we bring on the pinch hitter, or do we stick with the bullpen? We've got 3 more innings of bullpen work that we need. Ted Power is a reliable long relief man. But we've still got Hill, we've still got Charlton, and of course we've got the closer Dibble and the mop-up man Don Carmen. Coming up for the Giants in the next inning, it will be righty, switch hitter, and the pitcher spot. So the right-hander would be useful to have. So we're going to leave Power in the ball game and let him bat for himself with the Reds enjoying a 2-run lead. And it's a bounding ball to short, taken by Uribe over to Clark, and we'll see if manager Dave lives to regret that decision. Can Power get through the bottom of the order, or will the Giants stir up more trouble? Pitch to Manwaring is popped up to the right-hand side. Doran can't get there. Manwaring hits the next ball on a line to left field, but Billy Hatcher is there to make the catch for the first out. And here is Juan Uribe. Uribe pops this one down the line. Sabo giving chase. Can't get to it. And the next pitch is a fly ball to right field. O'Neill camped under it and makes the catch. 2 outs now as Burkett comes to the plate. And Burkett's being called back. It will be Kevin Bass to pinch hit for the Giants with nobody on and 2 men out. Power pitches to Bass. Bass swings and hits it towards Sabo at third. It's a bad bounce, but Sabo stays with it. Makes the throw to first to retire the side. Name the first player to collect 3,000 hits. Okay, anybody in the chat room? This is your chance to make Dave look bad on the trivia question. Nobody got the trivia question in the first game. The first player to collect 3,000 hits. And if Beatles were still here, he would be all over this because it's a dead ball era question. I don't know much about the early years of baseball. I know a few names. Honus Wagner comes to mind. Nap LaJoie comes to mind. Those are about the only two old-time ball players that I can think of. And the trivia answer is Cap Anson. So Big Dave is 0 for 2 today on the trivia questions. But the Reds still hold a 2-run lead, and that's the important thing, with Barry Larkin coming to the plate, the leadoff hitter, to lead off the 7th inning against the new pitcher, Francisco Olivares. 17 games this season with a 1-3 record, 2 saves, and an ERA of 3.76. Olivares is slightly better against the righties. So let's see how Barry Larkin can do. Pitch to Larkin is swung on and hit off the right side to Clark, and Clark makes the routine catch of the soft liner for the first out. Here's Hal Morris, the lefty. Morris swings and hits one back to the mound. Olivares picks that one up and throws him out for the second out. And before we see Sabo, let's take a look. Ted Power still has plenty of gas in his tank, so if we need him for another inning, he will be available. I'd like to check that while the player's on the bench and not have to use a mound visit at the beginning of the next inning. Here's Sabo. Sabo swings and hits one deep to left field. It's way back. It's way back. Mitchell's going back. He's at the fence, and it is over the fence for a home run. That is 2 home runs for Sabo tonight, number 9 on the season. And that is a very important insurance run for Cincinnati as the Reds now go up 5-2. The goofy guy from Michigan hits 2 home runs, and the Reds now have a 3-run lead. Here's Paul O'Neill, the Columbus native. And O'Neill hits one down the right field line. It's at the warning track. It's just inside the foul pole for another home run. Back-to-back home runs for Sabo and O'Neill, and the Reds have once again gone to a 4-run lead. It is a 6-2 ball game in favor of the Reds as Eric Davis makes his way to the plate to face Francisco Olivares. Olivares in the regular season gave up 12 home runs in 79 innings of work, so he is susceptible to the gopher ball, as Sabo and O'Neill have proven. Here's Davis. Davis hits one to right center field. Is that going to get down? No, it's going to be Bobby Thompson ranging back to make the play for the final out of the inning, as the Reds hold a 6-2 lead after 7 complete. The attendance has just been announced at 29,772 for today's Titanic struggle, in the words of the great Marty Brenneman. And Ted Power will return to the mound for the 3rd time. He came on to get the final out of the 6th inning and pitched a scoreless 7th. But now he has the top of the order to contend with in Lewis, McGee, and Will Clark. So let's see if we can shut the Giants down here without giving up any of this 4-run lead. Darren Lewis swings, pops one up to Jeff Reed, and Reed puts that one away for the first out of the inning. Here's the dangerous Willie McGee. McGee against Power hits one to the right side, past Hal Morris and into right field. And that's another hit for McGee. And up comes Will Clark. Already homered in this ball game, and he is an outstanding left-hand batter. And I think that's going to do it for Ted Power. as we've got Norm Charlton available. To deal with the lefties. From a defensive standpoint, we're in pretty good shape. It is the 8th inning, and we've got Dibble for the 9th, so we're just going to bring Charlton straight into the ball game and not worry about a double switch. Charlton to face Will Clark. And Clark swings and hits one out to center field toward Davis. Davis glides under it and makes the catch in medium center field for the second out here late in the game. Kevin Mitchell now comes on. Another dangerous slugger. And this is the time where you feel good about having a 4-run lead with guys like Mitchell and Williams toting the lumber for the Giants. Charlton pitches to Mitchell. It's popped up down the line. Larkin ranging into the bullpen, and he dives and makes the catch for the 3rd out of the inning. And that is a fine defensive play by Barry Larkin in a clutch situation, as the Giants are scoreless in the 8th, and the Reds carry a 6-2 lead as they come to the plate for what they hope will be the final time. Francisco Olivares remains on the mound for San Francisco in spite of giving up the 2 home runs in the 7th inning. It will be Olivares in the 8th to face the 6, 7, and 8 hitters, Bill Doran, Jeff Reed, and Billy Hatcher. The first pitch to Doran is swung on and hit deep to right field. McGee retreats toward the fence. He leaps. He's got it. A fine catch by Willie McGee on the drive by Bill Doran, saving yet another home run for the Reds. And it is still a 6-2 ball game as Jeff Reed steps into play, into bat. Reed swings and hits one past second base and into right field for a base hit. And that'll bring Billy Hatcher to the plate. Hatcher swings and hits one to the right side to Matt Williams. And Williams turns that one into a quick double play. He is one fine defensive third baseman. And as I've mentioned, he is a guy that I really enjoyed watching. This team of Darren Lewis and Willie McGee and Williams and Clark on the infield was a team that I had a lot of respect for throughout the 90s. All right, top of the 9th. The Giants will send to the plate Matt Williams, Robbie Thompson, and Kurt Manwaring. And they are going to face the Reds closer, Rob Dibble. Dibble has not had many opportunities this year, but he's pitched 14 innings, and he has yet to give up a run. 7 saves. And it has been a stellar season for the big guy Dibble. The Reds have good defenders all around. The only 4-rated defender is Hal Morris, and his backup is Todd Benzinger. Did we already use Benzinger? I don't see Benzinger in the lineup here. Carmelo Martinez would be the backup. I must have sat Benzinger instead of Benavides. But Martinez is certainly not a defensive substitute I would consider. So we'll just leave things be, and we will bring Dibble directly into the pitcher slot. And if he gives up 4 runs and takes us to extra innings, then we'll just have to take our chances with that. But here's Dibble facing the esteemed Matt Williams as we head to the top of the 9th with the Reds holding a 4-run lead. The pitch to Williams is swung on and hit out to center field. Davis goes after it, races hard, dives, and makes a beautiful play. Fine defensive play by Eric Davis. He was one of a kind as a defensive center fielder, and he robbed Matt Williams on that play for the first out of the 9th to bring up Robbie Thompson. Thompson checks his swing, and that cost him strike 3 for the second out for Rob Dibble. Dibble is a strikeout machine. Already 17 strikeouts in only 15 innings of work. And in the 1991 regular season, he compiled 124 strikeouts in only 82 innings pitched. That would make him, without a doubt, double flash in History Maker baseball. So Kurt Manwaring is at the plate representing the Giants' final hope. And unless he can hit a 4-run homer with the bases empty, San Francisco still has a big hill to climb. Dibble delivers to Manwaring. No, Manwaring's going to be taken down, and Steve Decker, the backup catcher, will take the mound. Decker, a .206 batter with 5 home runs on the season in 233 at-bats in the 1991 real stats. He's had 42 at-bats here in the simulation with no home runs and carrying a .238 batting average. What's Dibble going to do? Dibble gives up a fly ball to center field. It's deep. Davis turns and races back towards the wall, and it is off the wall. Decker rounds second and heads into third. And Decker has a triple on the play, just barely off the top of the wall, almost a home run. And Dibble is not at all happy with himself, giving up a triple to a backup catcher with a .238 batting average. Dibble is in danger of giving up his first run of the season unless he can take care of Jose Uribe here. The pitch to Uribe. No, Uribe is going to be taken down in favor of Mike Felder, the scrappy outfielder, switch hitter, and 4th outfielder for this fine San Francisco team. What's Dibble going to do with Felder? The pitch is swung on and hits to Larkin. Larkin fires to first, and he fires it over the head of Morrison into the dugout. That will be a 2-base error for Barry Larkin, uncharacteristically so. And Felder winds up at second base as the Giants cut the lead to 6-3. Things are getting a little bit interesting. Francisco Olivares obviously will be taken down for a pinch hitter. And it's going to be Dave Anderson, another middle infielder. He of the I-83 batting average. That was a joke that Johnny Bench used to make. If a guy's batting average was below 200, they would call it I-83 in this case, and they would yell at the guy to get off the interstate. Anderson in the replay is only batting I-54, so he really needs to get off the interstate. But if he can reach, that'll bring the tying run to the plate against Dibble. What's Anderson going to do? That pitch is swung on and missed. Another strikeout for Dibble. And Dibble is able to seal the deal. That was not a save situation for Dibble, but he got the outs he needed to get the job done. And we'll take a look at the box score. Dibble did surrender a run, but it was an unearned run. And so his ERA for the season remains 0.00. Your final score is Cincinnati 6 and San Francisco 3. The Reds improved to 15-22 on the season, but still well behind the division-leading Giants, who fall to 20-14. John Burkett suffers the defeat. Pitched 6 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and his ERA rises to 3.12 on the season. Tom Browning picks up the victory, surrendering only 2 runs, 1 earned in 5 2/3 innings of work. He improves to 3-4 on the season, and his ERA drops to 4.04. Home runs on the day, Will Clark, number 11, 2 home runs for Sabo, giving him 9 on the season. Paul O'Neill hit his 6th. And the web gem occurred in the bottom of the 4th when Willie McGee robbed Tom Browning of an extra base hit in a clutch situation. But the Reds do enough to win this one. As Marty Brennaman would say, this one belongs to the Reds. Your final score is 6-3, and that gives the Reds a doubleheader split on the day. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to the ballpark. Rob was here, Beatles Eternally was here, Amish Elvis was here, Dave Gardner, Sports Time Machine. Thanks to everybody who came out. That's our stream, and I am out of here.